What's going on, everybody? It's Wade with Swamp Donkey Archery. So today, I'm going to show you 3 ways to tie a D-loop. So y'all stick around. We're going to get into it. All right, so we're going to jump into this thing. So before we get into it, y'all be sure and like this video and sub my channel. Hadn't already done it. We're trying to make that 2,500 subs on this channel so we can give away a free dozen arrows. So y'all be sure and hit that button down there. So what I want to get into today, there are 3 different ways I've seen people tie D-loops. I've actually made one video earlier, a year or 2 ago, on how to tie a D-loop. Well, I want to show you the correct way how to tie one. There's going to be 3 different ways. One of them is the way that most everybody ties one, and it's not necessarily the best way, especially on a shorter axle-to-axle bow. So if you have a 32 inches or less axle-to-axle bow, y'all stop tying them this way. Because whenever you tie one, like, see if I can get this here, like this right here, okay? See, you just got a knot here and a knot here. You don't have any knock sets in there. Let me get an arrow and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see in here that the knot, top and bottom knot, are pressing up against this this knot right here. And what that does, it creates knock pinch. And I heard a buddy of mine make a good description of what went on with knock pinch, and he didn't even realize that's what's going on. So when you pinching your knock right here, as you're drawing back, strings like this, as you're drawing back, you got to think about it. These knots are going to pinch on that knock more and more and more as you draw back and you increase your string angle. That makes the front of your arrow really light. And I heard my buddy say this, and he said that he had a deer come in on him one day, and he drew back, and it was, 10, 15 yards from him, and the closer it got, he started aiming down and down and down, and he got to looking, and he said his arrow was kind of coming off of his rest like this, and he had to wait for his arrow to settle back on the rest before he shot. And that right there told me, I mean, we're not even talking about trying to tune it, shooting it through paper. That caused a real world issue, because this was a good buck that he'd been hunting for a while, and he had to wait on his arrow to settle before he took the shot. And it was created by this knock pinch. Now, you can tie this knot. I imagine there's probably about 70% of the shops out there still tie them this way. And it's worked for years, but it is going to create an issue. And this will work for like a quick fix in the field. You're out hunting or on a target range or something, you D-loop breaks, or you notice it's starting to fray real bad, you got to do a quick fix. It's okay to do this. I'm going to show you how to tie that D-loop first, and then I'm going to show you what I call is the correct D-loop. So I'm not going to talk about setting your knock placement and all that and where to actually tie it. I'm just wanting to get into how to tie the knot. So let me cut this D-loop off first. Okay, so you need to do the D-loop. I've already got it cut off. I know about where it's going to need to be. So I can see right here where my knock has been set, and then you can see where the knots on the D-loops actually dug into the string a little bit. So I like to cut me a piece of serving off. It's going to be 5.5 to 6 inches long. I try to cut it off a little bit long, make sure I got plenty. Okay, so you're going to always take these little kind of snippers right here, and you need to flare out the end of this D-loop material. You need to have a good fluffy ball on the end. Now, this is another place where I see a lot of people mess up. You don't want to, you don't want to burn it with your fire. You want to melt it with your fire. So, see if I can get this here. You don't want it to catch on fire. So, and if it does, you need to put it out real quick, because it makes your knot brittle. So you want to melt it. You want to go slower with it. That's one thing I've seen a lot of people do that kind of causes issues. Now you can see how that knot right there is a little thicker. And you want this to be a thick, heavy knot so it don't pull through your strings. All right, now the easiest way I've found to do it is you do it like this. You're going to do your short side on the upper end, long side on the bottom. You make your little horseshoe, and then you put both ends through the loop right there, and you pull it down kind of tight. Just get it snug. All right, now you can see how there's that big gap right here. I always take my pliers and I go ahead and close that gap up. Now I can see about where my knot was at. So I'm going to go ahead and put my knot back where it was at. And we'll say, for instance, if you was in the field or something, you put a mark there. Or if you got it on your on your bow vise and you know exactly where you need to put it. That looks good. You're going to do that. Suck it down a little bit. And then, so you started with your loop on the side towards you on a right-handed bow. That's another thing we can get into, right versus left, but we ain't going to do that today. So you want to have your knots on opposite sides of the string. So starting on right-handed shooter, you start with, you want your loop to be on the side away from you. That's an easier way to say it. You want your loop to lay over towards you. Now, bottom knot, you're going to go on the back side of the string. Excuse me. Pull it through the closed end of the knot, bring it around, and then push it back through there, like that. Like I said, I got plenty of slack on this one. I cut this one almost 6 inches long, so y'all could probably do a 5.5, something like that. I just wanted to make sure I had plenty to play with here for y'all. So now, what I did is, you can see how I pushed it down. Got this knot fairly close, or the loop fairly closed. It's not very big, because when you pull the slack out of here, it's going to increase the size of that knot. All right, so now you'll cut a little bit higher than what you want it to go to give you slack to pull down and to give you plenty of fuzz. Here we go with this fuzz again. Got to make sure you get fuzz on it, because the fuzz is what's going to burn down to make the ball. Now, like I said, we melt, we don't burn, we melt. See, I tried to catch on fire, then I blew it out real quick. You don't want it to catch on fire and burn. Now, we got a nice melted knot right there. Try not to get your flame too close to your serving, or you'll be replacing serving. So now you let it cool off for, I usually try to let them cool off for, 30, 45 seconds before I suck it down, but I'm just fixing to cut this one off anyway. So take you a pair of needle nose pliers or the D-loop pliers, anything like that. And then you're going to close it up, tighten the knot down by putting it in the string and pulling against the D-loop out like this. As you're doing that, you want to look at your space where these where you have your melted balls right there. You want to close that up as you're pulling it down. There, that's it. That's going to be the most common easy fix type D-loop that they have out there. There's been thousands of them tied like that. I always like to make sure, if I'm going to do it this way, try to leave you a little gap right here, but it's going to wind up closing in on you. But if you leave a little bit of gap, that's going to keep you from getting your knock pinch. But I'm fixing to show you the correct way to do it without getting knock pinch. Okay, now for the way that I learned how to tie them in the ATA bow technician training, and there's the reason why they teach them this way. All right, so the two different ways to doing knock sets and kind of different situations that I do. So if it's somebody that's a target shooter and I know they're going to be shooting all the daggum time, they're going to be wearing D-loops out, 2 to 3 D-loops a year. They're going to be changing them out. I like to make it easy for them to be able to replace it. You're going to be doing that. I tie a dual knock set on them. So what I do is I have the arrow where I need it, and then we're just going to take some serving, like some 3D serving. This is some like, I think this is 14,000 serving. So you're just going to tie just a simple knot, just an over and under knot. I do a knot over, a knot under, and we're going to do this right above where the arrow is going to live. Okay, so we're going to do this. I'm going to tie about 4 or 5 knots, and then on the last one, I'm going to do a double where I pull the slack through twice. Okay. So we're going to do this. You're going to suck it down. And then you're going to do the same thing underneath it. Now, this is the kicker underneath it. You want to make sure that you have enough space that the air has room to float. But you don't want to leave so much space that that you have the tendency to not put your air back in the same place every time. So I like to leave about a 1/16 of an inch underneath it. So we just do 4 or 5 under it and over it. And like I said, this is the way I do for target shooters or somebody that's going to be shooting a whole lot. Okay. So then we tie our knock sets over and under it. We're going to burn them down. Once you have them tied on there, I cut the serving with the fire, rather than that way I got a little bit of extra of the melted material gluing the knock set on there. Okay, we do that, and then we proceed to tying the D-loop on the same way as we usually do. So that's how we're going to tie this one on. Excuse me, I'm still got a little bit of sinusy stuff going on. So same thing, we do our loop. It's the loop's on the back side of the string. We pull that through, suck your knot down here, down close to the knock set, and then same thing. Do on the back side, pull through, around, under, through, cut our slack off, melt it down, and now fluff that out. Like I say, melt, don't burn. Just like that. A little bit more. Melt it, smash it, because you want kind of a mushroom head. That's the way I like mine, but I like the mushroom to be a little thicker mushroom. If like I said, if you catch it on fire when you mash it down, it's thin and brittle. I'm gonna let that cool off for just a second. This in here, snug her down. Now, you have a knock set above and below the arrow. That way, if you get ready to replace this D-loop, it's easy. It's already marked. You clip it off. You don't even have to worry about trying to get any measurement marks, because your knock sets are still going to be there and your D-loop's ready to go. Okay, so now for the way that I tie them a majority of the time. This is a hunting bow, a target bow, whatever. It works for all of them. Pretty much the same thing as the dual knock set, but I just do this one in a single, and I'll explain why. So do your top knot. You got your air on there where you need it. Okay, this is the important part of that. Go ahead and do your top knot, and you slide it down to the top of your knock, and go ahead and snug it down. All right, so that's going to sit flush on the top of your knock right there. Next, you're going to take your knock set string, and like I say, you tie it just underneath your knock. I like it about that, like I mentioned before, about that 1/16 of an inch. And you tie your knock set under there, do one over the string, one under the string, another over, and then these are my last 2 knots. I'm going to do these as a double. I'm going to suck that down, and then one more on the top as a double. 1, 2, and pull that down. And then suck them down tight. You want to make sure you get these knots pretty daggum tight, okay? Now, like I said before, burn your material. That way you got plenty of glue to hold your knock set there. Now, we got it where your arrow wants to live. And get your arrow out of the way. And now we just do it the same way. String on the backside, and you do it right there by where your knock set is. Pull your slack through, around, through the knot, like that. Like I said, I cut plenty. This is almost 6 inches of D-loop material, but I done that intentionally so y'all would be able to see, and I'd have plenty of work with. All right, flare our material out. And how did I say to do it? Did I say burn or did I say melt? Good, some of y'all paid attention. Melt her down. And the reason I do it this way is with just the single underneath it, is this top knot is going to hold your arrow. It's not going to go anywhere. And that's wasting material and time. So that saved me a couple of minutes and a foot of string material or serving material by not tying that knot. Because the top knot on this D-loop is going to work just fine. This bottom knock set is going to keep this bottom knot from slowly sliding up over time, and it's going to give you your distance that you need to eliminate any knock pinch. After it cools down, then we snug her down. Like I say, I always close up the gap in these knots right here as you suck it down. So that's it. Now you got your arrow in there, no knock pinch. You can see the little bit of gap that I have right there. And like I said, you got to imagine when you draw that thing back, the distance in that is going to decrease because it does this. Okay. So that's how I tie the D-loop. Okay. So that is the 3 different ways that I tie D-loops. The first way I showed you is the quick fix. You're in the field. We just need to get one on there. We're going to do that. The second way with the knock sets on top and bottom, going to be for my target shooters or people that just hammer, and is going to be replacing multiple D-loops during the year. And the only reason I do it with the 2 is just to make it easier to replace your D-loop, so you don't have to take measurements and all that. The last way that I showed you with the single knock set underneath it, that's how I set 90% of the bows up in here, because the top knot's going to hold it. It's not going nowhere. You put your knock set underneath it. That eliminates a pinch and eliminates your D-loop sliding up over time. That's the most efficient and effective way that I've found to do it. I hope y'all liked the video. I hope you found it informative. If you got any questions, hit me in them comments down there. I guess that's about it as far as this one. Hunting season around here is about to start in just a couple days. Good luck to everybody. Other than that, I guess I'm gonna try to think of a different video to do for y'all here shortly. I do have a new video coming up. It is going to be a review on this Darton Emergence. This is the Darton's like youth and youth bow, grow with you type bow. So I'll be doing a review on it here soon. And other than that, I guess that's it. Like I said, y'all be sure and hit me in the comments down there if you got any questions. Need to get in touch with me. Look me up on my website, swampdonkeyarchery.com. It's got all my contact info there. And yeah, now got to get to work. So we're trying to get everything knocked out before season starts in just a couple of days. So y'all have a good one. I will catch y'all on the next one.